Okay, let's think about something really fundamental. Clean drinking water. It's something, we often take for granted.
Absolutely.
But for billions of people, it's not their reality at all. We're talking 2.2 billion globally without safe drinking water.
That number is just staggering.
And it's not just far away, right?
Yeah.
Even here in the U.S., over 46 million people face water insecurity. And the traditional sources, rivers, reservoirs.
They're under immense pressure, being pushed to their limits, really.
Exactly. So what if? What if the solution isn't digging deeper wells or building bigger dams? What if it's actually, all around us, in the air? That's what we're diving into today, this incredible breakthrough from MIT engineers who are literally pulling water out of the air.
Fisting the atmosphere.
Yeah, even in the driest places on Earth. So our mission today is to really understand how this almost sci-fi idea is becoming real.
It's a truly fascinating direction because, the atmosphere holds just trillions of gallons of water as vapor. Trillions. It's this enormous, largely untapped resource. And if you can capture it, condense it right where people need it, that's a game changer.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit more. The water crisis, it's severe. We know that. It affects health, economies.
Basic human dignity, absolutely. And the strain on existing sources. It's driven by population, climate change, pollution. It's a perfect storm, really.
Leaving so many communities just vulnerable.
And that's precisely why we need to explore these alternative sources, like atmospheric water. It's not just a nice to have. It's becoming essential.
Right.
Understanding why it's so critical and why we need solutions like this, it helps grasp the potential impact,
So against that backdrop, this urgent need, enter the MIT team and their innovation, this new atmospheric water harvester. Can you paint a picture? What does it look like?
Yeah, so imagine a black vertical panel,
Yeah.
roughly the size of a window. That's the basic idea.
Okay, just a panel.
Right. And it's designed to capture that water vapor and turn it into safe drinking water, even when the air isn't very humid.
And how does it work? What's inside?
So the core is this special material, a water-absorbing hydrogel.
A hydrogel.
And this gel, it's enclosed in a glass chamber. The chamber's coated with a cooling material. It's a clever setup to manage the whole process.
Okay, hydrogel in a cool glass box.
Yeah.
But you said the gel itself is special. How it operates.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. The hydrogel, some people say it looks a bit like black bubble wrap.
Yeah.
It has these small dome-like shapes, and as they pull water vapor from the air, these domes, they swell up, like they get
And
big.
they absorb the water.
Exactly. Then, when the vapor evaporates off the gel, the domes shrink back down. The engineers call it an origami-like motion.
Origami-like. Wow, so it swells, then shrinks.
Yeah.
Where does the drinking water come from?
Right. So as the vapor leaves the gel, it hits that cool glass surface inside the chamber.
Condensation.
Precisely. It condenses on the glass, and then that liquid water just flows down through a tube. Clean, drinkable water.
That's remarkably simple in concept.
It is. And here's a really critical part, a major differentiator. This whole device, it operates entirely on its own.
What completely?
Completely. Needs no batteries, solar panels, or electricity, nothing.
No power source at all.
None. Which makes it incredibly accessible, right?
Yeah.
Think about resource-limited regions where even a solar cell is not very accessible. This works there.
That is huge.
Yeah.
A truly independent water source. But hang on, thinking practically, does no electricity mean it's totally maintenance-free? What about like dust in a desert environment? Does it need cleaning?
That's a fair point. Being passive cuts way down on complexity. But yeah, like anything left outside, especially somewhere dusty, you probably want to give it a quick wipe down now and then.
Okay.
Just to keep performance optimal. But we're talking minimal effort compared to, say, an active system with pumps and filters needing power and regular checks. The core design is built for simplicity.
Right, simplicity is key. Okay, so the real test then. How does it perform in the actual world? They took it somewhere extreme, I heard.
They did. Death Valley, California.
Wow. Literally the driest place in North America.
Pretty much. And they tested it there for over a week.
How did it do?
The results were quite striking, especially given the conditions. Even with really low humidity, the device produced up to 160 milliliters of drinking water per day.
160 milliliters. That's about, what, 2/3 of a cup?
Roughly, yeah. 2/3 of a standard cup. And they tested across a humidity range from like 21% up to 88%.
And the output varied.
It did, from about 57 up to that 161.5 milliliters per day, depending on the humidity.
That's still pretty significant even at the low end for Death Valley conditions.
It really is. And importantly, it harvested more water than other passive and some actively powered designs, especially in those very dry conditions.
More than active designs in some cases. Wow.
And the researchers point out logically that water production should increase with humidity.
Right. So take this out of Death Valley and put it somewhere more temperate or even tropical.
Exactly. It should be even more productive. It really suggests this could work almost anywhere. Changes how you think about water scarcity being tied just to geography, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, but, these hydrogel systems, I've heard there can be an issue with salt.
Ah, yes, the salt hurdle. That's been a common challenge.
Many designs use salts, like lithium chloride, right, to help absorb water.
Correct. They boost absorption. But the downside is that some of that salt can leach out into the collected water,
making it salty and needing extra filtering.
Precisely. Which adds complexity and cost.
So how did the MIT team tackle this?
This is another really elegant part of their solution. They included glycerol within the hydrogel itself.
Glycerol, like the stuff in lotions.
Kind of, yeah. It's a common, safe liquid compound. And what it does here is it naturally stabilizes salt, keeping it within the gel.
So the glycerol traps the salt, prevents it from dissolving and leaking out with the water.
Exactly. It stops it from crystallizing and escaping.
Still ever.
And there's more. The hydrogel itself, the way it's structured, it has a unique microstructure that lacks nanoscale pores.
Meaning tiny, tiny holes.
Extremely tiny. So tiny you'd need a powerful microscope. The lack of these pores creates another physical barrier, making it even harder for salt ions to get through.
So it's like a double protection. Glycerol holding the salt and the gel structure blocking it.
You got it. A dual approach. Really smart material science.
And the result, the water it collected.
The salt levels were below the standard threshold for safe drinking water.
Okay, that's the key metric.
And significantly below the levels produced by many other hydrogel-based designs. So yes, truly drinkable water directly from the device. Much more practical.
That's a massive step forward. So putting it all together, what does this mean for the future? Is this something we could actually see being used widely? What about scaling it up?
Yeah, the potential is definitely there. The team is thinking big. They envision multiple vertical panels set up in a small array.
Like several window-sized panels together.
Right. And that small array could passively supply a household with drinking water.
Even in dry places, like those desert environments.
Even there. And think about what that means, For you listening, picture a remote village or maybe an emergency situation after a disaster. Decentralized water. That's powerful.
It really is. Empowering communities. I think Professor Xuanhe Zhao at MIT called this current device the meter-scale device, a test of feasibility.
Exactly. Proving that scaling up the technology is feasible. It's moved beyond just the lab bench.
So the vision is bigger panels, more panels.
Yeah, their view is people can build it even larger or make it into parallel panels to supply drinking water to people and achieve real impact.
Real impact, that's the goal.
And they're not stopping. They're already working on optimization, developing a next generation of the material for even better properties. It really feels like something out of science fiction becoming reality, All that water in the air.
Which we always knew was there, but it seemed unreachable.
Until now, perhaps?
This tech, it really feels like it could redefine things. Just the idea, air into water, passively. Even in extreme conditions, it sort of breaks our usual thinking about water infrastructure.
It absolutely does. It challenges that whole paradigm of massive centralized systems being the only answer.
Yeah.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is just consider how this kind of passive local water generation could fundamentally change things, how it could reshape water access, water security, enabling these truly decentralized solutions, empowering communities in ways big pipes and treatment plants maybe never could. It really could pave the way for a more resilient, maybe more self-sufficient future for millions.